Drinking alcohol is one of the deepest roots of human culture, and especially the Western culture. It runs so deeply that it dates back to 3000 to 2300 BC, when the Babylonians and the Greeks consumed mead. And some even say that it is as old as 10 million years ago. But then many years after that, we see in the Old Testament many references of alcohol as a sin. And in Islam, alcohol is also completely prohibited. What could possibly be the reason for this? And is there really any science behind it? Well, there is. A lot. As a matter of fact, alcohol has so many side effects on your body. It affects the brain, the liver, the breasts, the stomach, the pancreas, the heart, the bones, and the colon. We're going to talk about each one of them. We're going to start talking about the liver, which is one of the most affected organs. So basically, the liver's main function is getting rid of toxins in the blood, and it does that by breaking them down. So as soon as you drink alcohol and it reaches the liver sees it as a toxin and starts breaking it down to acetaldehyde, which is responsible for feeling the hangover. It is also very carcinogenic, and it is also responsible for damaging the DNA on a cellular level, which also causes cancer. Alcohol also makes the liver become fat, causing what is called fatty liver. This fat damages the liver cells, and over time, it will lead to liver cirrhosis, which can eventually cause liver cancer, which can be considered as one of the most dangerous types of cancers, whose effects are irreversible and fatal. When it comes to the breasts, alcohol can really be damaging, especially for women. Every time you drink alcohol, your estrogen levels get elevated. When this happens frequently and over time, it develops into breast cancer. It has been documented that 3 glasses of alcohol in one single week increases the risk of breast cancer up to 15%. This percentage is tripled when girls under 15 years old start to drink. Moving on to what alcohol does to the stomach. The stomach suffers the most from heavy drinking, since excessive drinking causes the stomach to produce more acid than necessary. This increase leads to stomach inflammation, known as gastritis, which irritates the stomach lining and causes bleeding and ulcers. So what's the story between alcohol and the pancreas? Basically, and what a lot of people don't know, is that alcohol contains a lot of sugar. In fact, 2 glasses of wine can actually contain the maximum sugar consumption for an adult per day. So when you drink alcohol, your sugar levels are elevated, which means that the pancreas has to produce more insulin to break down that sugar. This is not good because, on the long run and with heavy drinking, it can cause diabetes type 2. Added to that, the excessive amount of ethanol causes inflammation to the pancreas, which leads to pancreatic cancer. Your skeletal system is also not safe from alcohol consumption. On the long term, alcohol causes many complications, such as increasing the chances of getting bone fracture. And it can also cause osteoporosis, which brings about bone deterioration. That means that bone will be thinner, it will also shrink, and it can also cause having a rounded back, which usually happens to the elderly over time. Bone deterioration happens when calcium, which is stored in the yellow bone marrow, gets flushed out, making the bone less dense. And this causes something called sponge bone, which causes the bone to fracture more easily and making it more prone to bend and damage. The heart. It is badly affected too. When you drink, the blood pressure is raised, and when this happens on a regular basis, it causes what is known as cardiomyopathy, which causes the heart to stretch and become more enlarged, which makes it weaker and less efficient. It also causes an inflammation to the heart muscle, which can potentially lead to heart failure. Another common problem among the drinkers is arrhythmia. Arrhythmia is an irregular heartbeat, which means that your heart will beat too quickly or too slowly. The LDL, which is also known as the bad cholesterol, is also increased in the blood, increasing the risk of hypertension, heart attack, and strokes. As for the colon, drinking on the long term and/or excessively could lead to something called adenoma. Adenomas are tiny tumors that are not harmful by nature. However, they could develop into polyps, and these are bigger than the adenomas and could become cancerous. Now let's talk about the conductor of all organs, the brain. With the first sip of alcohol, 33% of it goes into the bloodstream and then to the brain. So when you drink too much, you become unaware of your surroundings, and you get what is called a temporary amnesia. This could develop into more severe complications, like memory impairing, inability to form new memories, having seizures, or involuntarily movements, like mumbling and eye twitching. Moreover, drinking makes the brain release different chemicals, like GABA, dopamine, and endorphin. When GABA and dopamine are released in the bloodstream in big quantities, it causes an abundance of side effects, some of which are hallucinations, night terrors, depression, and aggression. And as for the endorphin, it causes depression, lower sex drive, infertility, and extreme fatigue. But when a huge amount of alcohol is consumed, the cells of the nervous system, including the brain cells, begin to be destroyed. These neurocells cannot be regenerated or cloned, so the damage is permanent. So you can only imagine how much damage can happen to a teenager's brain who's still developing their neurological system. So as we said in the beginning, that we mentioned some of the facts about alcohol. These facts are just the tip of the iceberg, but even with this amount of information, it should be quite obvious why Muslims don't drink alcohol. If not for the long-term effects, then for separating you from reality and making you feel things that are not real, and putting you in a state of mind in which you become danger to yourself and others. In fact, and statistically speaking, around 90,000 people die each year only in the US because of alcohol use, making it the third leading preventable cause of death after smoking an unhealthy diet. So next time you wonder why Muslims don't drink alcohol, I think the question you should be asking is, why are you still drinking alcohol? Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or suggestions for this or other videos, leave it in the comments below. And don't forget to like and share the video if you liked it and learned something new. And if you want to see more videos like this, well, you know what to do.